is Himanshi, the widow of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal. Just 1 week back, she married this Navy officer and headed for their honeymoon to Kashmir, but it turned into a nightmare. Her husband was singled out for his religion and shot in the head. She sat listlessly by his body, her red chudas now stained with blood. Today, Lieutenant Narwal returns wrapped in a tiranga.
And we should all be proud of him in every way.
Today, her tears have lit a fire in the soul of Bharat.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Himanshi Narwal, whose husband was asked, is he a Hindu? And before even he could respond, he was shot in his head. From a bride to a widow in just 7 days, she bade goodbye to her husband. The dreams of a happy married life shattered in the shortest time. Not just Himanshi. Today, Shubham Dwivedi's wife also sits and cries because her husband was asked, Kalma pad sakte ho? He couldn't and was shot. Also, Tega Hamling, the man from Arunachal Pradesh, his wife and he were for a holiday in Pahalgam. He was asked. In fact, he had to go through the humiliation of his clothes being taken off to identify if he was a Muslim or not. Christianity, his faith, was the reason he too was shot in his chest and died in front of the eyes of his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a coincidence. It is certainly not a chance that this happened. But it's time we turn our anger today into action. The bravery of Himanshi has lit a fire in the soul of every single Indian tonight. She went from a wedding to becoming a widow in just 7 heartbreaking days. After she hugged her husband's coffin, her final words were, Jai Hind. This is the grit and valor of a young widow. Bharat today says it's time for Badla to avenge the pain of Himanshi and many others who lost their loved ones in Pahalgam yesterday. And these are the butchers of Pahalgam who pumped bullets into Lieutenant Vinay Narwal. They killed him merely because he was a Hindu. Witnesses say that the terrorists checked ID cards to confirm their religion, singled out Hindus and shot them at point-blank range. In some cases, they asked tourists to read the Kalma and worse, stripped to ascertain their religion. 2 of these butchers are Pakistani nationals. They are identified as Asif Fauji Suleiman Shah and Abu Talha. Watch how they smiled and posed for pictures wearing tactical vests filled with bullets. They are the ones who butchered unarmed tourists. Their AK-47s are out of this frame but were used to rain bullets mercilessly on civilians, killing 28, injuring 11. Times Now has learned that these butchers were wearing body cameras. They live-streamed the carnage to their handlers who are suspected to be hiding in safe houses in Karachi and Muzaffarabad. This is straight out of the Hamas handbook. When they attacked the Nova Festival in Israel in October 2023, then too, remember, the terrorists sent live streams to their handlers. Remember, the shadow of terror still looms large. Times Now has also learned that 100 Over 100 terrorists are sitting all geared up across 42 terror launch pads in just POK. But India has vowed that Bharat won't bend before terror. After the carnage at Pahalgam, these cowards have gone into hiding. But India has already launched Operation All Out. Before we go any further, let's go across to the first official briefing after the Cabinet Committee on Security.
Families of the victims and hoped for the early recovery of the injured. Strong expressions of support and solidarity have been received from many governments around the world, which have unequivocally condemned this terror attack. The CCS recorded its appreciation for such sentiments, which reflect zero tolerance for terrorism. In the briefing to the CCS, the cross-border linkages of the terrorist attack were brought out. It was noted that this attack came in the wake of the successful holding of the elections in the Union Territory and its steady progress towards economic growth and development. Recognizing the seriousness of this terrorist attack, the CCS decided upon the following measures. 1. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. 2. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025. 3. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SAARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVAS visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVAS visa has 48 hours to leave India. 4. The Defence, Military, Naval and Air Advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own Defence, Navy and Air Advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. These posts in the respective High Commissions are deemed annulled. 5 support staff of the service advisors will also be withdrawn from both High Commissions. 5. The overall strength of the High Commissions will be brought down to 30 from the present 55 through further reductions to be effected by 1st May 2025. The CCS reviewed the overall security situation and directed all forces to maintain high vigil. It resolved that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account. As with the recent extradition of Tahawur Rana, India will be unrelenting in the pursuit of those who have committed acts of terror or conspired to make them possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we come to the closure of this press briefing. Thank you very much.
So a big diplomatic strike that has been announced by the government. The Foreign Secretary briefed media persons and in this, the strength of the Indian representatives in the Pakistan High Commission would be, India's High Commission in Pakistan will be reduced by about 25 people. And what we have also been told is that visas of Pakistanis who have a SAARC visa will be cancelled. They have to return to their countries and leave India in 48 hours, but other Pakistanis who are in India on valid visas have to leave the country by the 1st of May. This is the latest that we've heard in terms of the diplomatic strike. The Indus Water Treaty is also being kept in abeyance at the moment, and the Atari border will be shut and will not be open to those who wanted to come. All visas being cancelled, no new visas will be issued. So all ties with Pakistan as far as exchange of people clearly being put on hold. This is the latest strike that India has announced. The three-pronged fight back against Pakistan is already in place, and now it's time to hit Pakistan where it hurts. Here are the military options as well. After Uri, the surgical strikes took place within 10 days. Within 10 days of the Uri strike. The Balakot airstrikes took place after 12 days of the Pulwama strikes. Are we seeing any of these options being exercised anytime soon? That is the expectation. But even as we wait for that action, there are those in India who continue to patronize and talk about the fact that Pakistan has inflicted this wound possibly because Hindutva by the current government. And that's exactly what Robert Vadra said today. Listen in to his statement before we go to the debate. Robert Vadra clearly saying there that it is the Hindutva policies of the government that are the reason for the strikes that have been given effect by the Pakistani terrorists who entered India. Well, we have our reporters joining us this evening. Shreya joining me from Kashmir, Priyank joining me also from Srinagar. First coming to you, Shreya. What have you seen as you have been present in Kashmir? Is there a sense of fear or is there a sense of fight back? What are you reading from the people, the common man on the ground?
So Navika, as I answer your question, let me also tell our viewers that it has started drizzling here in Srinagar. Perhaps the gods are also joining the entire country in mourning the victims of this dastardly terror attack. But as we mourn, Navika, we also saw outrage, extreme anger towards Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, extreme anger towards terrorists who have carried out this attack on Indian soil. And what we saw today were various groups that were protesting across Jammu and Kashmir region, whether it was the Traders Association saying that we condemn these terror attacks and this impacts our daily livelihoods. Do not harm the unarmed civilians who come to Jammu and Kashmir and boost our economy. There was the Houseboats Association. In fact, right now I am at Dal Lake and let's show you those visuals. You know, you can see those houseboats which are lit up right now, but this evening between 7 and 8 p.m. Navika is when the Houseboats Association had completely blacked out these houseboats and shikaras in protest of this horrific terror attack in Pahalgam. There were all across protests in Dal Lake, in and around the Kashmir region. There were students, there were traders, there were houseboat associations, there were political groups that had come out and said that we condemn these terror attacks. We do not support terrorism in the valley. Locals, I was talking to a lot of locals, whether it was the elderly or the young voices of Kashmir, students, they said we condemn this terrorism, we stand against it, and we want Jammu and Kashmir to prosper, we want growth here. So while we, as a country, as a people collectively mourn, we also have people who are absolutely angered with the kind of Pakistan-sponsored terror attacks that we keep seeing on Indian soil again and again. Now, Pakistan might deny that, but the facts and the evidence that we have been showing on Times Network clearly reflects the kind of reality that we're all grappling with, and that is of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir and India. But as far as tourists are concerned, Navika, Yes, there is understandable concern, there is understandable fear also, but the silver lining, and perhaps that reflects, the spirit of resilience of India. The fact
the spirit of resilience stays, but with that resilience comes the anger. And Shreya, thank you for joining me on the news hour. Going straight across to the experts, General VP Malik, former Army Chief, joining the show, Air Chief Marshal Fali Homi Major, former Air Chief, also joining, SP Ved, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, also on the show. First to you, General VP Malik, you've known this terrain, you've seen wars in the past in this terrain, the Kargil war that you helmed. I want to ask you, what are the options? Is just pulling back a few diplomatic attaches present in Islamabad enough for the moment, because the anger is boiling over? This country needs action. Is diplomatic standoff enough for the moment?
Good evening, Navika. No, I believe that the response has to be multidisciplinary. At political level, something has to be said and done. Diplomatic, we have just now heard. Even economic level, also we have to probably expand beyond the industry treaty which has been held in the base, and of course the military actions. Now obviously the spokesperson, our foreign secretary, did not want to get involved in the military aspect of it, and but I believe that military also has a role to play in this multidisciplinary response that we are looking at. Now, as far as the military is concerned, there are two aspects of it. One is the protective aspect and the other is the offensive aspect. Protective aspect, I think we do need to investigate and carry out a reassessment of the functioning of the unified command. Have we failed somewhere? Have we failed in intelligence? Have we failed in infiltration? Have we failed to identify the overground workers who probably would have helped these people? So those aspects, I think, will need to be considered by the carrying out a review of unified command, and also the NIA, which has already taken. So that is the one aspect. The other aspect is of taking another deterrent action against Pakistan. I do believe that they have crossed the red line now, and that kind of an action will have to be done again by the three services together. It is not a question of Army show, Air Force show, or Naval show, but it is again an all-inclusive approach that we have to take, and those would be considered with the experts, with the kind of capability that we have. I think something is possible, and hopefully, I believe it will be done.
Fali Homi Major, I want to ask you, the time frame very important here. Are we going to dither on this, or like Uri and Pulwama, the attack or the response would be swift?
Navika, as a military man, let me say that today we claim to be the fourth largest army and the fifth largest air force in the world. And the whole world has watched what has happened in Pahalgam yesterday. Having said that, let me say that this is an opportune moment to demonstrate the military capability of our country and our armed forces. You know, for very long, we have responded to these kind of terror attacks in fits and starts. And sometimes we have not responded. Now, that is not a lesson which can be taught to the kind of people who live across the border. Whatever the diplomatic options are or the economic options are, that's a different story. But as far as military action is concerned, we need to teach these guys a lesson that they will never forget. We talk of terror camps, we talk of terror, inlets into the country, etc. Those are just little camps and sheds which are built up for them to put that temporary. The idea is to hit the nerve center of where terror emanates from. And that is the Pakistani military. And we got to hit them hard.
We're going to hit them hard, but when an SP Ved, you've been on the terrain, you know this. You know Pakistan has done this. Many people are questioning the fact that how many terrorists are we going to keep killing? How much blood are we going to see on the, on the floor of Indians before we realize that killing terrorists, destroying launch pads is not the solution. We've got to hit where it hurts Pakistan most. It has to be an attack on Pakistan's military. After all, if the statements of the Pakistan Army Chief are anything to go about, the indications were there. This, differences between Hindus and Muslims, the fact that we, need to take Kashmir back, all of this was there less than a week ago.
Navika, all this have, the doing of Pakistan deep state, and deep state in Pakistan is Pakistan military and Pakistan ISI. And unless they are made to pay for it, just killing terrorists is not enough. And that, of course, our people on the ground will be continuing to do it. But I think this is our Pulwama 2 moment. And it is not a coincidence that 3 days back, Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir gave that infamous speech we all heard. And this incident taking place, as you were describing, identifying each victim to be first non-Muslim and asking him to recite kalma and then attack him. Now, this is the kind of jihad he was preaching from that podium. And the message is very good. If you recall, 3-4 months back, a senior Hamas terrorist, this Pakistan Army, our establishment, facilitated to visit POK and interact with LET and Jaish terrorists. In fact, from that moment itself, I was expecting something big, something of the type 7th October in Hamas undertook in Israel. And I think we need to learn a lot of things from Israel and Mossad in chalking out our response. I completely agree with General BP Malik and Fali, Honorable our veteran, that it has to be a multidisciplinary. Obviously, the Foreign Secretary would not like to discuss the military options, but I'm sure all these have been discussed in today's meeting, and it has to be. So
are we expecting action soon? Well, we'll wait and watch. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight.